Space doesn't care about us. It doesn't hate us either. It's just indifferent. A cold, silent void filled with radiation storms, exploding stars, invisible gravitational whirlpools, and rocks the size of cities hurtling through the dark at tens of thousands of miles per hour. But for over 60 years, NASA has been out there anyway, watching, listening, sending fragile machines, and sometimes fragile human beings, into that void, and witnessing things that defy belief. Today, we're going to walk through the most extraordinary, terrifying, and jaw-dropping events that NASA has ever witnessed in space. But here's the twist. These aren't just separate stories. They're chapters of a single, ongoing saga, humanity's long, improbable battle to understand a universe that keeps throwing curveballs. Buckle in, because space is about to get very, very weird. It's April 13th, 1970. And yes, you already know the date means trouble. Apollo 13 is 200,000 miles from Earth, coasting toward the moon, when astronaut Jack Swigert performs a routine stir of the oxygen tanks in the service module. Routine. That's the word that haunts this story. A faulty wire insulation inside Oxygen Tank 2, damaged years earlier during a forgotten ground test, ignites. The tank explodes, and in the cold silence of space, astronaut Jim Lovell looks out of the window and sees something that makes his blood run cold. A cloud of gas venting into space. Their oxygen, their air, their fuel cell power, their life is bleeding away into the void. He radios Houston with what may be the most famous understatement in history. Houston, we've had a problem. NASA mission controllers on the ground scramble. There's no manual for this. The moon landing is scrubbed. The astronauts abandon the command module and squeeze into the lunar module, a tiny lifeboat designed for 2 people for 2 days, and use it to keep 3 men alive for 4 days. They slingshot around the moon to correct their trajectory using nothing but Earth's gravity. They survive on a few hundred calories a day. Temperatures drop to near freezing. Carbon dioxide levels dangerously rise. And yet, against all odds, on April 17th, the capsule splashes down safely in the Pacific Ocean. It was NASA's finest hour, not because they reached the moon, but because they brought their people home from the brink of absolute catastrophe. And that spirit, that refusal to give up, is what makes every chapter of this story possible. For a long time, astronomers suspected that comets hitting planets were rare, catastrophic events. The kind of thing that wiped out the dinosaurs 66 million years ago and then never happened again. At least not on any timescale humans could observe. Then came July 1994, and Comet Shoemaker-Levy 9 changed everything. This comet had been captured by Jupiter's gravity years earlier and torn apart into 21 massive fragments, a string of cosmic cannonballs, some over 2 kilometers wide. And in the summer of '94, NASA and astronomers worldwide watched in awe as every single one of them slammed into Jupiter over the course of 6 days. The impacts created fireballs larger than Earth. The scars left in Jupiter's atmosphere were visible through backyard telescopes for months. The energy released by just one of the larger fragments was estimated at 600 times the world's entire nuclear arsenal detonated simultaneously. And here's the thing that still keeps planetary scientists up at night. Jupiter is like a giant vacuum cleaner. Its gravity has been sweeping up debris that might otherwise head toward the inner solar system, toward us. That bombardment we watched. Jupiter has been running that protection racket for billions of years. We were watching a guardian do its job, violently, magnificently. And it made NASA ask a very uncomfortable question. What happens when a rock like that has our address? If Jupiter is our protector, our sun is our most volatile neighbor. In October 2003, the sun threw a tantrum for the record books. In what became known as the Halloween solar storms, the sun unleashed the most powerful X-ray solar flares ever recorded, back to back. Then, before scientists could catch their breath, it fired off a series of coronal mass ejections, basically billions of tons of magnetized plasma launched at Earth at millions of miles per hour. NASA and other agencies watched in real time as the wave of energy slammed into Earth's magnetic field. Satellites malfunctioned, power grids in Sweden went down, airline flights over the poles were rerouted to avoid radiation. The International Space Station crew retreated to the most shielded section of the station. The northern lights were visible as far south as Texas and Florida. Beautiful and terrifying. But here's what makes this truly spine-chilling. A 2012 storm was even more powerful. It just barely missed Earth, passing through the exact spot our planet had been just 9 days earlier. NASA scientists later estimated that if that solar superstorm had hit us directly, it could have knocked out power grids across North America for years. Not hours, years. We missed it by 9 days. The universe tried to pull the plug on modern civilization, and we didn't even notice until years later when NASA reviewed the data. But here's the flip side of that story, because while the universe keeps throwing chaos at us, NASA keeps answering with something remarkable: stubborn, almost irrational persistence. In 1977, NASA launched 2 spacecraft, Voyager 1 and Voyager 2. Their original mission was a 4-year tour of Jupiter and Saturn. The plan was never for them to last longer than a decade. Voyager 1 is now over 23 billion kilometers from Earth, the farthest any human-made object has ever traveled. It crossed into interstellar space in 2012, becoming the first spacecraft to leave our solar system entirely. It is, right now, drifting through a region of space no probe has ever been, transmitting data back to Earth at a rate slower than a 1980s dial-up modem, and we're still talking to it. In 2023, 46 years after launch, engineers at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory noticed that Voyager 1 was sending back garbled data. It took them months of detective work, communicating with a spacecraft so far away that signals take 22.5 hours to travel one way. They eventually traced the problem to a corrupted memory chip and repaired it remotely across 23 billion kilometers of space. This isn't just engineering, it's a love letter to exploration, a refusal to let go. The universe may be vast and indifferent, but NASA built something that keeps whispering back from the dark. In March 2015, NASA's Swift telescope detected something extraordinary, an enormous burst of X-ray energy from the center of a nearby galaxy, 300 million light-years away. A black hole, one that had been dormant for decades, had just woken up and consumed a star. What followed was a tidal disruption event. As the star strayed too close, the black hole's gravity ripped it apart, shredding it into a superheated stream of gas that spiraled inward. The energy released in those weeks exceeded what our entire sun will radiate over its entire 10 billion year lifetime. But this wasn't just a one-time spectacle. As NASA kept watching, they saw something even stranger. A bright flare of energy coming from near the black hole, months after the main event. Then another, and another, like a cosmic heartbeat. Scientists think the remnants of the star are still orbiting, being pulled apart in recurring passes, sending out pulses of radiation on a clockwork schedule. A star, even in death, refusing to be fully consumed all at once. NASA named the event ASASSN-14LI, but some astronomers call it by a different name, the zombie star, because something about it just won't stop coming back. Remember that uncomfortable question from earlier? What happens when a massive rock has our address? NASA decided to stop asking it and start answering it. On September 26, 2022, the DART spacecraft, the Double Asteroid Redirection Test, deliberately crashed itself into a small asteroid called Dimorphos at over 14,000 miles per hour. It was the first time in human history that we intentionally altered the orbit of a celestial body, and it worked spectacularly. Scientists predicted DART might shorten Dimorphos' orbital period by about 73 seconds. The actual result? It changed the orbit by 33 minutes, nearly 27 times more than the minimum threshold for mission success. Telescopes around the world watched as the impact sent a plume of debris thousands of kilometers into space, a tail of rock and dust that looked almost like a comet. For the first time in 4.5 billion years of our solar system's history, a species on one small planet reached out and moved another world, even a little. We are no longer just witnesses to what the universe throws at us. We are slowly becoming capable of throwing back. So let's take a step back and look at what we've actually covered today. A crew of 3 turned a blown-up spacecraft into a survival story for the ages. A dying comet showed us just how violent and how protected our corner of the solar system really is. The sun reminded us that even on a calm day, we're one bad morning away from catastrophe. 2 spacecraft launched before personal computers existed are still calling home from the edge of all mapped space. A black hole ate a star and keeps broadcasting its meal. And we flew a spacecraft into an asteroid on purpose and changed its orbit. A black hole ate a star and keeps broadcasting its meal. And we flew a spacecraft into an asteroid on purpose and changed its orbit. Here's what threads all of these stories together. The universe is not safe. It never has been. It is vast and ancient and filled with forces that don't know we exist, running on timescales that make human history look like a blink. But for 60+ years, NASA has put cameras and instruments and people out into that darkness. Not because it's safe, but because the alternative, staying home, staying ignorant, staying small, is the only thing more terrifying than the void itself. Every story we told today is a story of something going wrong and something human rising to meet it. The universe tried to break us again and again, and every single time someone at NASA said, "Not yet." If you made it this far, drop a comment. Which of these events hit you hardest? I'm genuinely curious. And if this video gave you that feeling, that mix of terror and awe and weird, stubborn hope, consider subscribing, because there are a lot more stories like these, and we're just getting started. I'll see you in the next one.